Welcome to Syncreate, a show where we explore the intersections between creativity, psychology, and spirituality. We believe everyone has the capacity to create. Our goal is to demystify the process and expand the boundaries of what it means to be creative. I'm Melinda Charlotte, and I help individuals and organizations bring their dreams and visions to life.
And I'm Charlotte Gulick. I'm a writer, educator, and writing coach. We're the co-authors of a book on the creative process, also called Syncreate.
At Syncreate, we're here to support your creative endeavors. So if you have an idea for a project or a new venture, please reach out to us for one-on-one coaching or join our Syncreate 2024 6-month coaching group starting in July. This virtual 6-month coaching group will guide you through the journey of creativity in order to move from start to finish on a creative project.
Join us for accountability, community, and fun. We're offering a 10% discount on the coaching series if you mentioned this podcast. You can find more information on our website, syncreate.org, where you can also find all of our podcast episodes.
All right, we're back, and today we're going to be talking about the 3 Ps, and these are creative practice, creative process, and creative product. So these are slightly different from, but related to, the 3 Ps we talk about in our book, Play, Plan, and Produce. So these 3 are kind of things that I came up with in working with clients, that whenever I start working with a new creative client, I kind of frame things in terms of these. So what is your creative practice? Which is, really, what is your space? What is your time that you're dedicating to your work? What is the actual sit down time on your instrument in the studio, whatever that is? How many times a week? How many hours a week? Is there anything you need to do to make your space feel more conducive to your work? Like I notice your flowers in the background there, which are very lovely. Little things we can do to uplift our workspace to make it feel inviting. Some people light a candle, in honor of the creative spirit, whatever that might be to you, or even, just little rituals that you can do to get you into that creative mindset. So that's the first one, creative practice. And then there's creative process. So this is the actual doing of the work. So once we get into our space, once we've blocked off the time, then, we get in there and we're working on whatever it is, whatever medium that we're working in. And this is kind of where we talk in the book about kind of the drafting, the iteration phase, the composition phase, where we're, what is our process for getting things done? And it can be helpful to actually map out our process so that we understand the conditions under which we work best, right? And so even if time is limited and we can only work in small chunks, we know how to get there and get into our groove more consistently. And then the product is, what we're aiming toward, what we end up with. It's the thing that we actually bring out into the world. And there can be different versions of this. We might get to, a working draft of something, or, a painting, and it's not quite finished yet, but we've kind of come to a place where we can see it coming to life, or, a musical work, whatever it might be. And that's where we kind of, start to get feedback from others, refine it, and then ultimately bring it out in the world. But it's, why is this important, Charlotte?
Well, I think it kind of, if we back off just 1 minute and what is the goal of Syncreate? Syncreate is to empower people in their creativity. And so the subtleties and the nuances of what you're talking about, they go against kind of the myth of what it means to be creative. Like, I'm an inspired genius and I found my painting and I do it and I'm crappy to my family at the same time.
Right. And it's all one thing, right?
One
It's
thing,
just,
montage, I'm done. And I think what you're asking people to consider is that there is nuance and there is differentiation between these three elements of the creative process. And the more we think about our process, our practice, and our product, we're actually gaining self-awareness
Mm-hmm.
so that we can be more empowered. And if we don't, then the creative process kind of remains elusive and almost for me, that becomes depressing. Like I can't obtain it because I'm
Mm.
not an inspired genius.
Mm.
But with what you're suggesting here, and I think what the Syncreate mission is to let's pay attention to what works for us. Where
Yes.
do I work well? When do I work
Yes.
well? Am I
Yes.
clear on what I'm trying to do? And not that you need to have definitive answers in every moment, but knowing that there's some wiggle room and some flexibility in how we approach things allows us to have more traction within ourselves and more traction with our creative expression.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. So, what's our pro tip for today?
Our pro tip for today is to learn which phase of the creative process you are in. And we encourage you to keep a reflective journal. So at the end of your day or your week or your month, you take a little bit of time and block it out and consistently check in with yourself about what worked well here. How could I improve? What felt good in my body when I was doing it? How can I increase my positive feeling around doing this? And I think this also ties back into our creative community when we might have the opportunity to share with someone, oh, I'm keeping a reflective journal and I'm realizing this about my process. That the pro tip of paying attention to how it is that you pay attention to yourself can be incredibly empowering.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And just knowing, what am I doing at any given time? And, just, yeah, getting to know yourself and your creative process in that way.
And I think with like a compassion and curiosity and not
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I need to know what I'm doing at every minute. I can't even, every minute, but like there's like, it's almost like how we would tend a garden,
Mm-hmm.
but let's tend our own creative process and pay attention to what it is that works well for us. And then we actually can be more joyful in our process and in the rest of our lives.
Yeah, beautiful.
Find and connect with us on YouTube and social media under Syncreate, and we're now on Patreon as well. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and leave us a review.
And we're recording today at Record ATX Studios in Austin, Texas, with Charlotte joining us from the Hudson Valley. And the podcast is produced in collaboration with Mike Osborne at 14th Street Studios. Thanks so much for being with us, and see you next time.